So, good morning from myself, Sharon Haig, and the CCMG. And today we welcome Kevin Britz, who's an accomplished executive coach and speaker with over a decade of experience in high performance cultures. Kevin, for those who've heard him speak in the past, you know that I refer to Kevin as our GOAT. And in case you don't know what a GOAT is, it's the greatest of all times when it comes to understanding people, management, different cultures. And he has shared with us on many occasions the most interesting information. Today, we're going to be talking about human intelligence as we navigate the future of work and development and integration of work. We all know what we've gone through. We know how this has changed. And I think the last sentence in this write up, the holistic approach not only equips employees to excel in their roles, but also prepares the organization to thrive in an ever evolving business landscape. Kevin, we greatly appreciate your time and the effort and the value that you add to the CCMG and its members. Over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the introduction. Uh, I'm so glad. I suppose I am the goat because I come with the gray hair as well. So, yes, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. Today, I'm speaking about a topic that I find that most people are actually avoiding to speak about, and I want to hashtag it straight up front, and I want to hashtag HI. It looks like hashtag high, as so be it, but I want to hashtag human intelligence because it's such an important conversation, and it's almost like everyone's just simply avoiding it. So, to move into just for those who don't know me, I just put together some information about myself. And part of this conversation is I currently work in a consultant, expert facilitator, podcast host, researcher, author, and speaker, and a coach. And I've done various modalities and have had the opportunity to work in neurolinguistics for some time now, but as well as neuroscience and with professors and psychologists around different various assessments and tools to support the impact of what we could have in corporate scenarios. Another thing, just for those who don't know who I am, just to share, in the last 10 years of my career, I've had the fortunate opportunity to have got around 35,000 followers in all my social media. I also look at, I've been able to, and I've tried to calculate this approximately. So it's an approximate amount of over 6,000 delegates being trained in the last 10 years, about 25 different programs that I've designed, and given at least about 750 workshops, coaching programs, and coaching sessions with various people. So part of what I'm here to do, and this is why, I feel that I want to have a discussion because with the experience and the impact that I've had in various environments, I also realize that these are conversations that clients like these and clients like yourself and people like yourself need to be talking more about. So one of the forefront questions is, and I was just doing some research about what is being said about AI, right? The big focus that we know that we're having currently is everyone needs to know this. That one significant statistic that highlights the urgent need for the evolution of human intelligence for the future of work. The World Economic Forums just in 2023 says it projects that by 2027, nearly 44% of workers' core skills will need to change to keep pace with the evolving job demands, right? The shift underscores the necessity for enhanced human intelligence, particularly in areas that machines cannot replicate, such as critical thinking, creativity, social intelligence, self-management, and attention management. These skills will be crucial for navigating complex, ambiguous, and rapidly changing environments, making the evolution of HI not just an option, but a critical imperative for the future of workforce. So with that in mind, I said to Sharon, let's have this conversation and let's just give some insights about what are the practicalities that we do know about human intelligence? And the statement that we shared when we shared this talk with everybody was, as we navigate the future of work, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The key to thriving tomorrow's world isn't just about mastering the latest technology. And we know that AI is something to be mastered. Till today, I have very many clients, very many executives who don't use ChatGPT, and they don't know how to use AI to inform and enhance their work environment. But today I want to explore how developing and integrating the work and industry neutral growth skills, or the wings that we can propel us into the future with confidence. So just to give you a bit of background on this, a while back, we know, and I'm not even going to mention it, but in 2020, we had a big shift. The big shift, the world shifted from in-person to remote, to increasingly moving to a hybrid, and very quickly returning to office work, right? So we know that the big shift has included a very quick, unprecedented process that for humans is usually very unheard of. What we also know is that there are fundamental truths to human behavior. So we know that values are impacted. We know, or have been impacted. We know that belief systems have been impacted. We also know that our memory making decision processes and the way we decide to do what we do in our life has been impacted. But part of this fundamental to humans is the brain loves structure and a good strategy to achieve anything. And this is where I started investigating. And what about human intelligence? If we know that this big shift has happened, if we know that this AI is rapidly heading in our direction, the immediate question, from my perspective, from the 10 years of working within environments where it's specifically around people and human behavior, the very first question I'm asking is, so what does the future of work look like? And with that, I went on my research and came across Professor Walter van der Velde. And with his research, he did a lot of research on what are some of the, if we had to find commonalities, because very often in humans, we find commonalities. And it's based on how humans usually find commonalities. And we find commonalities like the red, yellow, and blue, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We think of thoughts, emotions, and actions. There are these commonalities that are always present. And again, if we look at human behavior, those are simple structures and strategies for our brain to make sense of the world around us. But what if these commonalities were found in primary skills to solve big problems? And this is exactly what the professor was doing to see, what does the research say? And some of the research that he went through looked at some of the major publications in the world, and the publications like Harvard Review, LinkedIn Learning, the World Economic Forum, and many, many more. And eventually found that all of these publications were speaking to commonalities, and these commonalities in humans were starting to showcase as primary skills that if we evolved them correctly, and if we focused on some of these primary skills, that we could have a set of skills, if highlighted, showcased, and paid attention to, we could literally solve any problems. So some of these commonalities that we are looking at are that we have found in the solving the biggest problems in the world. And he coined the acronym, the work and industry neutral growth skills. And the reason why they looked at neutral growth is because these are skills that you can take from any industry to any environment. And through using these 5 critical skills, you can solve any problem. One of those skills are creativity, critical thinking, social intelligence, self-management, and attention management. So part of my investigation was, okay, so now that we know that these are some of the primary skills that we are starting to cultivate, let me start doing some of my own investigation. I went and I looked out for some data. And I was like, okay, Let's see what some of the data does showcase and share. World Economic Forum just recently posted the Future of Jobs report emphasizes that by 2025, human-centric skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and social intelligence will be paramount to success. The report suggests that automation will replace routine tasks, but human intelligence will be needed to manage complex and unpredictable scenarios. Harvard Business Review says up to 85% of executive teams spend less than 1 hour per month discussing their strategy, and up to 50% spend no time at all. When we know how critically thinking and critically important discussing strategy is, what we're starting to notice is this skill of critical thinking is dismissed. It's dismissed and it's thought of as a very soft approach, and no one's really doing it. According to the study published by Oxford Academic Organization, critical thinking training sees up to 60% improvement in decision-making quality, leading to more effective problem solving. The Harvard Business Review says companies that emphasize creativity outperform peers by 1.5 times in revenue growth. In McKinsey, the research highlighted that high social intelligence performs 25% better in collaborative tasks, leading to stronger team cohesion and better project outcomes, and up to 50% increase in productivity. So we can look at the data. The data is out there, and the data is suggesting that these are no longer are these just soft skills. We need to actually start looking at these skills as the primary skills for the future of work. And these skills lend us to or lead us to human intelligence. So if we were breaking down the primary skills, let's have a look at what these primary skills look like. Well, first off, we start off with creativity. Now, very often creativity, when we say the word creativity is, we think, I'm not artistic. I've never been an artist. And I'm an IT person or a systems person. But if you look at what creativity as a primary skill looks like, it's about seeing possibilities where others see challenges. In a rapidly changing world, those who can think creatively will be the ones who drive innovation and lead their organizations to new heights. So literally, creativity in the context of what is being referred to is creating. Do you have the ability to create more? Does your team have the ability to create more? And I've just made a note, while we're going through this, check in with yourself and check in with your team. Just in your head, do a bit of a calculation. And how do you rate your team and yourself on your own creativity skill? How much would you rate it out of 10, right? Another one being critical thinking. Critical thinking allows us to navigate the vast amounts of information and we encounter daily. It's the ability to analyze, evaluate, and synthesize information to make informed decisions in the era of misinformation and constant change. The skill is more important than ever. Now, from a neurolinguistics perspective, what we know about the brain is that the brain is distorting in real time. It's distorting information in real time. It's deleting and generalizing information. And for the sake of understanding information in real time, it's also creating biases. So if we are not equipped well enough with understanding the process of critical thinking and how to take large sums of data and how to chunk that in a critical thinking approach, we're probably going to be left behind from the guys that are doing that. The next one, if we look at social intelligence and self-management. Now, social intelligence, we are currently in a world where devices, AI, is actively separating us. It's actually putting a barrier, teaching us slowly on how to not be socially intelligent. But yet it's the glue that holds teams together. It enables us to communicate effectively and resolve conflicts and build strong relationships. Collaborative relationships. As remote and hybrid work models become the norm, social intelligence will be crucial in maintaining cohesive teams. Now, again, rate yourself out of 10. If you think you're good at this, fantastic, then you're winning at life, right? But consider, how easy is it to be able to just simply walk over to a random stranger or someone that you know that works in your building and you've actually never spoken to them, right? Social intelligence is unbelievably important because as we know it online, we will need it online, but we will also need it when we are engaging with teams to collaborate on the future of what work requires to do. From a self-management perspective, it's about taking control of your own development. It involves discipline, emotional regulation, and self-motivation. Now, self-management, many people look at self-management and say, hell yeah, I'm good at self-management. Look, I got to work today. I'm on time. I've even joined this meeting and I'm in time for this meeting. I can manage self well, right? There's a far more bigger conversation to be had here. And when we look at things like emotional regulation, self-motivation, the mastery of self-management, how many times do we know, does your team or yourself have the ability to self-motivate? Do they know what self-motivation looks like? Do they know how self-management looks like? Do they know how to self-regulate? Do they know how to actively get involved with being socially intelligent? And part of being socially intelligent is being able to self-manage your ability to literally be social. Not only is it a skill that's really encouraging the impact of what you're about to do and what you can possibly do, what it is doing is it's literally teaching you a skill of intelligence. Moving on to our last one, attention management. And attention management is one of my favorites because many might know this, some might not. There's a little thing in your brain called your reticular activation system. And your RAS is always going to be focused on the thing that you're paying attention to. And it doesn't interrupt whether it's good or bad. It just goes, yes, this is what you're paying attention to. Let's do more of that. Now, what we know is if we're not actively involved in how we are paying attention to anything that's showing up in our environments, whether that's notifications on your phone, the 300 emails that are coming in on a daily basis, understanding what needs attention and what doesn't need attention, or simply being able to focus on taking some time out to thoroughly critically think through information because perhaps you're focusing on the wrong thing. We now know that it's an actual skill. And for those who are interested, I've done the research and collated some information about this in a book called The Future of Work is Human, available now on Takealot and Amazon. You can just type in the name and you'll see the book is there. And it's just a wonderful way of unpacking the WINGS model in practical format. So you've done the research. You've discovered a model for impacting work environments. You've written a book and researched the book to unpack this. So what? What we know is there's stagnant innovation in organizations. Innovation as an actual rule is just simply not happening in organizations quick enough. We also know that there's poor decision making overall. Teams are dysfunctional, and no one really knows how to escape the dysfunction because nobody critically thinks through how to solve dysfunction in any case. There's no creativity happening in that environment to actually unpack it. There's high employee turnover. Now, the sentiment of people don't leave environments, they leave people is applicable because the more you investigate it, the more you see that far more cases than not, we realize that employees leave an environment based on the level and the culture of that environment. Resistance to change, right? There's always resistance to change. We always think that change is sometimes going to go away. But what research shows us is with the aptitude and the ability to critically think through change, come up with creative ideas, manage my own self intelligence around how I'm approaching the change, I'm suddenly informing myself in a way about information that no one anticipates. Conflict in the workplace, burnout and stress. We look at inefficient processes, the lack of strategic vision, and really good leadership. It's something that not to point out the obvious, but we see a wonderful contrast of what leadership could be and what leadership currently is in the United States, right? So just to re-emphasize, what are the biggest solutions to these problems that we're having? So stagnant innovation, creativity can drive new product development and process improvements. Poor decision-making is a critical thinking enhances the quality of decisions, reducing risk and opportunities for growth. In a dysfunctional team, social intelligence fosters better communication and collaboration. When you look at low productivity, attention management helps employees focus on critical tasks. And you can just throw in self-management there as well, because if you can manage yourself far better and monetize your time, and we know very many call center environments are based in high productivity and high performing teams. And if we aren't managing our time effectively and managing our attention on what needs to be sorted, we can't monetize our time, right? Another one is high employee turnover. Self-management encourages personal growth and job satisfaction. The resistance to change. So creativity and critical thinking can help navigate and adapt to change. With coaching models, this is a very important area. Conflict in the workplace. Social intelligence aids in resolving interpersonal conflicts. We look at burnout and stress, and with self-management supports better work-life balance, right? Again, just that, we all know about burnout. We all know about stress. But how well do we have self-management at a core critical primary skill to actually support the work-life balance that is so important for us to function? We look at inefficient processes, creativity, and critical thinking to be able to identify and streamline efficiencies. And here's the thing about what I'm noticing in organizations is we don't need any more instruction takers. What we need is sufficient processes. We need people to creatively and critically think through what is actually standing in the way of getting to where we're going. Because if we're not actively creating and critically thinking through it, someone's waiting for someone to do it. Another lack of strategic vision is a combination of creativity and critical thinking and ensures a forward-thinking approach to organizational growth. And the last one, good leadership. All leaders require these primary skills to thrive. So if you're a leader and manage people, you need all of them to be able to get to where you're going and do that effectively. The next question that I asked myself, so we looked at the biggest solutions, and then so what? So what can we do? Because we know the brain likes structure and strategy. It's a human construct that humans love to be part of. But so what? So you've got all this information. What do we do about it? So what I've done, I've literally created a workshop where we can take some of these concepts and start implementing and identifying what we can do. Is we can create staff workshops speaking about inward-outward mindsets, the 6 human needs, the 5 wings, group discussion, and comfort zones, and moving out of your comfort zones. And to just add to that, create a bit of a identity for the 4 core identities to understand how to conflict better. So we created a workshop to implement this at large scale. But then my question was, well, how do we impact decision makers? And then we say, okay, well, if we're going to impact decision makers, let's do something actively so that when we are dealing with decision makers, we can also put together something that really gives the decision makers something to work through. So we put a coaching program together for executives, and we look at going through the introduction to wings. We explore all the various areas of self-management, creativity, critical thinking, social intelligence, attention management. But then we look at leadership and management as a whole as part of that, going through the actual wings approach. How do we then take that back into a leadership and a management environment? How do we work through conflict management, change? We review everything we've gone through. But what we then do is, from a leadership perspective, is we look at people, profit, and process. And when we look at those people, profit, and process, we want the leaders and the executives who are on this program to be able to take their wings and collaborative efforts and showcase that in a study, share that back with the executive team. we can also decide on how do we set this up. So is it every week? Is it every 2 weeks? Is it once a month? And so at an executive level, leaders are going away with information for them to unpack their wings abilities, their primary skills, to focus on people, profit, or process, and improve team cohesion, increase profitability, optimize their own processes in their leadership ability, create stronger people management, reinforce evidence-based leadership by utilizing this process. And then lastly, I thought, okay, having a discussion with the likes of Sharon Haig and other corporates out there, I thought, okay, so if we could do this, could we actually put together an actual qualification? What if we could create a qualification out of the wings process? And I then went and did my homework, found some strategic partners to partner up with that, and we can. So for your middle and senior managers, we can formulate a program around the wings concept that covers many areas, as you see on screen, from ethics and knowledge and management, self-management, change management, all the way through to underpinned by the primary wings skills. It's a 12-month program. It's reinforced with case studies. There's dedicated coaches for this. It's anywhere in South Africa, and this is an NQF credited. I think the credits are up to 164 credits that you get from this qualification. And the qualification covers 5 domains of leadership, management, and environment management relations, managing knowledge and practice of management, and it addresses each of these domains with generic competencies so that it allows the learning program to be contextual for specific sectors and industries. Not only have we created a workshop for all staff that we can actually give everyone in your environment an overview of the importance of this, creating group opportunities for them to unpack, collaborate, and have a bit of a cohesive approach to how to impact these future skills of work. We've also created a coaching program for executives and taking them through a consistent, ongoing basis of unpacking their own leadership skills around the wings, and really holding them accountable to what they do, how they do, and showcase that in a study, case studies of application of people, profit, and process. And lastly, we looked at let's do as a formal qualification for senior leaders or middle managers at least, and qualify them in these leadership skills so that they can actually impact the environment to the future. So the last question I have for everyone is, so what? Why human intelligence, right? And I think that's it's a brave question, and it's a question not everyone wants to tackle because not everyone has the answer to it. And from my years of experience, I've recently just written an article around exactly why I do what I do. In my expert opinion, we are more than we believe we can be. And part of that is it feels all fluffy and lovely. But the fact is, with given the right opportunity and given the right tools, we have so much more that we can accomplish than we think we can. In closing today's conversation, I just want to leave everyone with this sentiment. So let's talk about the evolution of human intelligence, where we started with the World Economic Forum saying that nearly 44% of the workers' skills, core skills, will need to change and keep pace with evolving job demands. Let's lean into the necessity for enhanced human skills. The future of work is a success future of work lies that harnessing uniquely human skills. And from the ongoing research, because this research is ever evolving, and I'm soon to have our wonderful Professor Walter van der Velde on the Lunchtime series, a podcast that I host, just to speak about this ever evolving research about what the future will look like and how do humans really tap into the success of what they're doing. But what we also take away from today's conversation is a structural evolution is essential. Organizations must evolve to support human intelligence and adaptability. We also need strategy. We know that humans love structure and strategy. The strategy must be people-centric. Future strategies must prioritize upskilling critical human capabilities. And then we move into the human element. And the human element is ambiguity, because our ability to navigate uncertainty in one of the greatest assets in a complex world. And we know the areas like the VUCA D world that's heading in our direction fiercely. And what are we doing about it? We are simply sitting back and going, okay, well, let's see what AI does, right? And I'm here to say, well, hang on, what about what human intelligence does? The last thing is a call to action to everyone listening and everyone who is part of today's conversation. The future of work is ours to shape. So let's make it human at its core.